Denial of service attacks are becoming more and more common in today's environment. 15 years ago, hacking was about skill and stealth and all of the things that you imagine when you think of an actual hacker. In today's world, we don't see that so much. There are very few true black hats out there that are there for profit or for skill development. Most of what you're going to find out there as far as malicious users are concerned are people that are interested in making a name for themselves in their small community of hackers or gamers or whatever the case may be. In addition, denial of service attacks lend themselves very well to holding a company ransom or getting revenge on a company or on a person because of whatever reason. So the ultimate idea or goal of a denial of service attack is to prevent legitimate users from accessing a particular system. And oftentimes what you'll find is if hackers fail to compromise the system, then they may fall back to and settle for a denial of service attack. Now, as far as the amount of skill required to run a denial of service attack, it's actually very simple. There are a lot of tools available for it. There are a lot of exploits for it. But again, you don't gain anything from that. So one might ask the question, why do people do it? And it kind of goes back to that trying to make a name for themselves or threatening a company that they'll shut their servers down if they don't comply with this person's demands. So they are definitely a very real threat and should be treated very seriously. There are actually a lot of different methods and technologies associated with denial of service attacks because, again, we're not looking to gain root privileges. We just want to shut it down to normal users so that no one can access it. An example of that would be TCP stack overflows, such as the ping of death, window size overflows, Smurf and teardrop attacks. And the Smurf attack is actually a really interesting one where we can actually spoof the source address to the broadcast ID of the subnet while pinging a system that is legitimately going to reply to that ping, and it will effectively blow the network up. And there are a lot of mitigations available for these types of denial of service attacks. User access denial of service attacks include intentionally locking users out of systems. An example of that would be to try logging in as a user 3 times so it would lock their account. If you do that, parsing every potential user account in the domain, you shut the company down by locking all of their user accounts out. Another interesting piece of this would be to stop one piece of the puzzle, such as halting a service that a particular app relies or depends upon. So again, as you can see, there are lots of different ways to perform denial of service. Large-scale denial of service attacks are also somewhat common in today's environment and are usually called DDoS, or Distributed Denial of Service Attack. And it uses something called a zombie, or an unwilling or unsuspecting host, to launch a consecutive large-scale multi-system attack. For example, let's say that I send out a worm that contains a denial of service attack set to run at a particular time, and that worm affects 40,000 workstations. Well, the target of those 40,000 workstations will probably be taken offline if they all come up and start pinging that system, or they all come up and try to log in to that web server, for example. Ultimately, the load will be too much for the web server to handle, and it would simply give up. So, as you can see, denial of service is actually a very wide range of things and can use multiple types of techniques to be successful.